Hey guys, it's Trent here back with video, I think it's number 4 in my series on how an old guy like me at 53 is deciding to become a professional pilot. And let me begin by saying what we're going to cover in this video is how I've been doing all the training and the exams and so forth. But before I get into that, I gotta tell you, I am blown away by like almost 60,000 views on my videos so far, one of them being 42,000 views. It's getting like 10,000 views a day. It's completely blown my mind, and I want to thank all of you who have taken a moment to, the hundreds and hundreds of you who've taken a moment to leave me a comment, and the tens of thousands of you who've watched the videos so far. Just like, I had no idea that this would be anywhere close to this popular. So I'm going to keep making more videos. So today I wanted to give you a little bit of a timeline of what I've done so far in terms of the exams, how I've studied for these exams, and encourage you, if you're following a journey or if you're embarking on a journey like mine, that maybe you want to consider doing the same thing. So on March 27th, the very first thing that I did was I got my first class medical. Obviously, no medical, can't fly. So get your medical first. Then I started studying for my private pilot exam here in the US, and I already have one in Canada, but it was just the fastest way to convert it to a US private pilot's license, which is just write the FAA exam. So for that, I used Sporty's little $49 a month program where they give you access to all of their training courses, but I only used Sporty's for my private pilot's license. So I wrote the private pilot's license on April 13th. I think I got 90 or 92% or 80, 88 or something. All of my exams have been in like the 88 to 96% range. So the studying method that I'm explaining in this video has worked very, very well for me. All right, so after I got the private done, I did on April 13th, I spent 1 week using, so then I switched to Shepherd Air's. Well, actually, let me give you the outcome, and then I'll explain the difference between the two types of training. So on April 18th, just, what is that, 13 to 18, 5 days later, I wrote my instrument exam. 2 days after that, I wrote my CFII on April 20th, and then 6 days after that, on April 26th, I wrote, I say wrote because I'm Canadian. I realize there's some confusion. I took the tests. In Canada, we say I wrote an exam. I just learned that Americans don't say that. So I took the test. So hopefully there's no confusion there. So I took the commercial test on the 26th. So in other words, I wrote and wrote. I'm just going to keep saying wrote. You'll have to bear with me. I did all these exams in a period of about 3 weeks, which I think is pretty quick. And I scored somewhere in the order of 90% on all of them. Okay, so now let's talk about how the difference between Shepherd and Sporty's and why I think Shepherd's approach for exam prep is so much better. So Sporty's gives you a lot of really great videos to watch, and so you watch all those videos, and then they give you little practice exams to do after each video. And so it definitely, for the private, it got me there, but I spent more time studying for my private exam than I did for any other exam. So the way Shepherd does it, and I guess they've proven this over the 20 years they've been in business, that this is the most effective way to cram knowledge into your brain in as short a time as possible, is, so let's use, they have a huge database of questions from the FAA exams over the years. And when you first go through, they show you the question and they show you the correct answer. And that's it. And so you kind of go through every single question. Now, when I did that, I didn't just click next, 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 next. I wanted to make sure I understood how they arrived at that answer. So that would, and then on the instrument exam prep course, there is 1,118 questions. So I went through 1,118 questions like 3 times. The first time through is you see the question and you see the answer. And you're doing these by category initially. So you'll be in the first category and you'll go through that and you'll see the question and the answer. The next time you go through that same category, which you do right afterwards, is you see the question and you see the 3 answers, and you're supposed to pick which one is right. And so I would score myself on that. And once you've done that for all of the categories in whatever exam that you're taking, then you're going to see all of the questions from all of the categories jumbled up and all 3 answers for all of them. And then you're going to have to literally go through 1,118 questions all over again. So how did I do this so fast? I'm not doing this. Oh, and then after that, you write a practice exam. And as long as you score greater than 90% on the practice exam, you can then ask Sporties to give you an endorsement. You can schedule your FAA exam, you take your endorsement and all your ID and everything else the FAA wants you to have. You go to the testing center, you write your exam, and as long as you get better than 70%, you pass. So that's the whole process in a nutshell. So how did I do this so quickly? I'm a very focused guy and this is what I'm doing full time. So I literally sat at this very desk over the 3 weeks that I was writing all these exams. I sat here for 10 to 12 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week. It was exhausting. However, I'm in a hurry, so I wanted to get it done as fast as humanly possible. Now, if everything was perfect, I would write my CFI exam also before I go to flight school, but I simply don't want to wait any longer. I figure one more exam to knock out, I could do that while I'm going to flight school. So that brings me to the point of, why did I write all these exams before I went to flight school? Again, I'm in a hurry and I want to be very focused. So when I'm at flight school, I want to do 2 flights a day, every day, probably 6 days a week, which means on average, I'm going to be logging about 30 hours of flight time per week. As you might imagine, that does not leave 10 hours a day for studying. So which means that I would then be trying to put all this knowledge in my head over a much longer period of time. And I'm no learning science expert, so I don't know if that's better or worse. I just think that would be worse. Plus, I didn't want to have the extra overhead or the extra stress of thinking, well, once I'm done flying today, I got to go back and study for the exams and do all that all night tonight, because that just didn't seem like it would be a lot of fun. Instead, when I'm done flying in the real plane each day, I'm going to come back to my RV, which I'll be living in, and I'll show you all that in a future video. And I'm going to sit down in front of my flight simulator, and I'm probably going to shoot a whole bunch of ILS approaches that evening to make sure that my motor skills and that I'm just basically doing it very well. And on that note, I spoke to a first officer from PSA a couple of days ago, and he used X-Plane 11 when he was doing his training. He went to the very same school as I did, or as I'm about to go to. And he told me that using X-Plane and flying around and doing instrument approaches was wildly valuable and very helpful to him in his training. So make sure that if you're doing this, that you're also leveraging either X-Plane 11 or 12 or whatever number they're on. I don't play X-Plane, but I use Microsoft Flight Simulator because I prefer that one. But make sure that you're using that as well, because it is an incredibly valuable training tool. All right, so that's it for what I wanted to cover in today's video. There's going to be many more videos to come, and here's how you guys can help me figure out what I should shoot next. Leave me a comment. So far, you've been really great at that. People say YouTube's passive. Baloney. I spend over an hour and a half a day just replying to the comments because I'm getting so many comments. You can see how many are under the video. There's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, and I read and reply personally to every single comment. So thank you for leaving the comments. Please keep it coming. Please keep asking me questions. I'll do my very best to give you an answer. And also, suggestions for what you would like to see in future videos would be wildly helpful to me. So again, thank you for that. And if this is your very first video of mine that you've watched, you'll definitely want to check out my other videos. The 2 so far that have gotten the most popularity are my plan to earn 6 figures as a pilot within 18 months. And yes, that is a viable plan. And also, is 53 too old to become an airline pilot? That was actually my first video. So there'll be links to those down in the description, and there's probably cards popping up somewhere on the screen, and maybe there'll be an end screen or whatever. But anyhow, I'm rambling now, so please consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the little bell so you get notifications of future videos if the stuff that I am recording here is going to be of interest to you. All right, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you in the friendly skies. Take care. Bye-bye.